wish to register a complaint.
At the end of the second series of Monty Python's Flying Circus, John Cleese expressed a desire to pursue other projects.
Actually, the BBC, when I didn't really want to do the third series, the BBC said to my agent, if Cleese doesn't do the third series, we're not doing the third series. So it was a lot of pressure. So I said, okay, I'll do it. But after 3 series, I remember just thinking, I just don't want to do this anymore. Now, of course, I'm grateful that we did do 3 series.
Cleese agreed to appear in 7 episodes of the third series, but was later persuaded to stick it out for the whole season.
So at the end of the third, I said, well, that's it. And I remember telling them, and a couple of them were very upset.
Monty Python and the Holy Grail was already written at the point that Cleese left, and the producers were trying to find finance for it. Cleese saying that he would make movies as they're much less of a time commitment than a 13-part sketch show. So he was only really quitting the Flying Circus rather than Monty Python as a whole.
And there's another element which always gets forgotten, which is that between the second and third series, dear old Graham Chapman really did become an alcoholic. Now, there was no sign of that in the first 2 series, but the third series, the guy couldn't learn his lines. He got scared he was going to forget, and then he didn't bother to learn his lines so that he wasn't a failure. It was very complicated what was going on out there.
Chapman's alcoholism must have been a big factor in Cleese deciding to step away from the show, as they were writing partners, and not even equal partners, Cleese writing 90% of the material credited to both of them. Chapman needed Cleese more than Cleese needed Chapman.
And Graham came round and said, well, John said he's not going to do any more, so, but I think we could continue. And so he sort of persuaded us on that flight to Vancouver that, yeah, well, maybe we would do some more.
So they decided to do another series without Cleese. No longer called Monty Python's Flying Circus, it was now just Monty Python.
This series was very enjoyable to do, as a matter of fact. I mean, I'm not just sort of saying that. It was more enjoyable, I think, than the previous series have been. I can't think why. Must be some reason.
I think this has been widely spoken about elsewhere, but the 2 Monty Python members who used to butt heads the most were Cleese and Terry Jones. They had 2 very different approaches, but somewhere in the battle of wits they actually made each other better. But with Cleese away, it gave Terry Jones more time in the spotlight.
My contribution to it was that I gave him, I think, I don't know if it was paid or not, I didn't remember, but I gave him a fair amount of material.
Cleese's name would appear in the credits of half the episodes of the 4th season, as it repurposed a lot of the discarded material from the early drafts of Monty Python and the Holy Grail, which originally ended in a department store. A lot of that material ended up in the Michael Ellis episode, which is by far my favourite of the season.
Ah, yes, he likes you. He's taken to you.
What do you feed them on?
Blancmange.
Blancmange?
Sorry, I don't know why I said that.
2 other names pop up in the writers' credits too. Neil Innes, who had toured with Python and played supporting roles in Holy Grail, and Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy writer Douglas Adams.
If you look at the sketches, for instance, of Mike and Terry within Python, which are always very, very sort of wild sketches, but you always had a sense of actually knowing where you were within them and what the rules of this particular universe were and how they applied. It's only when it's Graham's influence which would tend to make you feel the whole time you actually had no idea what you were next in for, because it could be very dangerous.
For a lot of people, and I think I'd include myself in this, John Cleese is the first person you think of when someone says Monty Python.
Do you miss John Cleese? I mean, there's been a lot of talk about that, hasn't there?
Well, he's very tall.
Yes.
So you're bound to miss him.
Yes.
You know, I mean, it's just a sort of physical presence. It's bound to.
But the wiseacres say that he imposed a discipline, an economy, etc., on the team that perhaps no longer exists. Any fairness in that?
No, I'm sure he imposed discipline, but I'm against discipline generally.
So what does Monty Python look like without John Cleese? Well, for the most part, it's exactly the same as it always was. Possibly because Cleese still has a hand in the writing, you can still feel his influence. Every episode has a good ratio of hits to failures, and it's nice to see the other Pythons having a bit of space to shine. I was very pleased to see Terry Gilliam on camera more, and not just gurning and leaving, actually saying proper dialogue, then gurning and leaving. Had these episodes been dropped into any of the other seasons, I don't think I would have noticed Cleese's absence until it was pointed out.
I have to say, to my embarrassment, I don't think I ever saw all 6 of them. I saw 2 that I thought were very good, and 2 that I thought were okay.
But for a lot of people, Monty Python without John Cleese is not Monty Python at all. The BBC, however, were pleased with the 6 episodes and asked the 5 members to make 7 more, but they declined. This is from Michael Palin's published diaries.
Saturday, November the 30th. Eric comes round about 3 o'clock. He suggests going for a walk. Eric goes through his reasons for dissatisfaction. He feels Python no longer works as a group. The formula is dull, we no longer surprise and shock, we're predictable. But he clearly misses John a great deal. None of us are as good as John or ever will be, he says.
Which is kind of nice to hear considering their fallout in later years.
You're human beings that disagree, and you've known each other a long time.
We don't disagree about comedy. This is only about money.
The critical reception for the 4th season was fairly lukewarm at the start, but grew as it went on.
What do you think of the last series, Graham? Which series, this one? The last series on Monty Python. Monty Python? It was, I thought it was quite good, but then, of course, I was in it.
It should be said that the project that Cleese desperately wanted to work on while the 4th season of Python was being filmed was, of course, Fawlty Towers, which is now considered a classic by most people. Cleese would, of course, return to Monty Python and make 2 more films. The Meaning of Life and, for my money, the best thing that Python ever did, The Life of Brian.
I was an awful purist in those days. I took it all too seriously. And whereas the other Pythons were just having a good time and thinking it was fun, I was genuinely bothered that by the 3rd series we weren't really doing original material. We were doing permutations and combinations of sketches from the first 2 series. And I don't think the other Pythons minded. They would just say, well, we're having fun. And to me, with this sort of puritanical streak of me professionally in those days, I just thought we're not getting anywhere. We're not doing new stuff, so we should stop.
I am currently making my own feature film, and there are several videos about it on this channel, so do take a moment to check those out. If you'd like to help me out with a one-time donation, you can do that via this site. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to keep up to date with this sort of stuff. I try and publish weekly, and that's not an easy task whilst making a movie, I can tell you. Anyway, that's my problem, because I'm Scott Kingsnorth and I'm making a movie.